Hello, witches. I am High Priestess or Sophinis. Thank you for taking time out of your evening to join me for this live pop-up broadcast, because if this broadcast has reached your Explore page, you need to hear everything I have to say tonight. This week, for some witches, not all witches will receive this. Not all witches will have this happen to them. But for those witches who get this on their Explore page, it will happen to you. This remaining days of November will be the last time you light a candle. What does that mean? That means that one spell, that one ritual, hex, or curse that you have been nurturing, that you have been sowing for, will be the last candle you light. Why? Because that spell, ritual, hex, or curse will finally work for you. Now, I know you've heard me say in the past to not keep doing the same spell over and over again if it's not working within 2 weeks. You've heard me say that before. But because this live broadcast has reached your Explore page tonight, it is because of your real world actions, which is the only way to make any spell, ritual, hex, or curse work, has been noticed by the god, the goddess, Hecate, any ancestors, your familiar or spirit animal that you work alongside, and they have added their strength to your own. So you will never again have to light a candle for that same spell work, because you have finally done real world action. A lot of people come to me and ask me, how do I make my spells work? Why is my spells not working? Because you are not working. For your spells to work, you have to do real world action. How many times? Write it down in the comments. How many times have I said, nothing changes if nothing changes? You have to do something for something in the supernatural that witches work alongside to shift, to move in your direction, in your favor. Nothing changes if nothing changes. You can't just do a spell and hope for the best. Witches don't need hope. Witches don't need faith. That's what Christians, Muslims, and Jews need. Those people of the Abrahamic faith. Witches don't need hope. Witches don't need faith. Witches just need to do the thing. Just do it. Witches just need to do real world action. Did you know that witchcraft is still real even if you have doubt? It still works. Witchcraft still works. Witchcraft still gives you results. But for many witches that this live broadcast has reached their Explore page, the remaining days of November will be the last time that you light a candle. You may light candles to honor your God or your goddess or your ancestors or your familiar or your spirit animal, but it will not be a lit candle for the same spell you may have been doing for months or years or generations. That's over with. That's over with, because you have finally you put an effort into your spell working. You did not just do a spell and do nothing else. Nothing changes if nothing changes. You have to do something. If you want your spells to work, you have to do real world action. You know, you're not a witch if your spells don't work. If your spells don't work, you are not a witch. You are just a magician. You are just playing a part. You are just hoping, having faith. Witches don't need faith. Witches don't need hope. Just do it. And your chosen God or goddess or Hecate will add their strength to your own with no sorrow added in. What do I mean by no sorrow added in? It will be no obstacles. There will be no problems. Everything will just work out for you. Every single time. Things will just work out for you all the time. That it can't be nothing more than witchcraft. You know that it's not a coincidence. You know it's not your imagination running wild. You know that this is witchcraft. You know that it is your real world action after you have done that spell, ritual, hex, or curse that got you what you wanted out of that spell. Because like I've said 1,000 times, no witch should be going through life the hard way. People who are not witches having a hard time in life, that's their problem. Too bad, so sad. Too bad, so sad. And it's not mean to say that out loud because it's true. Because it's true. You see how the world is? People complain about this and that and wanting this and wanting that. But they're not witches. So they can't get it. It does not mean that witches are superior. But witches are a elite. Witches are powerhouses. I said that like 1,000 times now. Witches are powerhouses. Everybody else can't compete with a witch. Everybody else cannot compete with a witch. It's laughable. It's retarded to try. I have to say it's just like this because it's true. It's true. You're stupid to try to compete with a witch. Just stop while you are ahead. You can't do it. You can't accomplish it. It's not going to work because you don't have Hecate's covering. You don't have Hecate's favor because you're not a witch. That's why. Too bad, so sad. Go ahead and cry about it. Go ahead and lick your wounds. Go ahead and cower under the covers. Go ahead and cry like a bitch. Go ahead and whine like a bitch. But it's the truth. It is the truth. The unfiltered, the uncensored truth. Everybody else is going through life the hard way, but that won't be you. Why? Because you are a witch. Because you're a witch. That's why. You won't have to keep doing the same spell over and over again in December. Because these last days remaining in November will be the last time you light a candle for that spell, ritual, hex, or curse. Because you have finally gotten it through your thick skulls that you need to do real world action. You have to. You have to do real world action if you want real world results after you have done that spell. It's not enough to just do a spell. That's how you make your spells work. You make your spells work by doing real world action. Of course, you should not do the same spell for month after month or year after year. Maybe it's not meant to happen. Maybe you are not saying the words right, or in the worst case scenario, you got that spell out of a book instead of writing your own spells. I encourage witches to write their own spells. Therefore, you are putting your own energy into that spell. So how can you mess up a spell that you created? If you created the spell is going to respond, it's going to perform as you wrote it. Why? Because we know as witches, our words, the words of witches is powerful. Why? Because witches are powerhouses. That's why. As witches, we know how powerful our words are. Because we are powerhouses. That's why witches are very careful about what they say. Because they can actually make the things they say come true. So witch has to be careful when they tell someone to drop dead or go play in traffic and get hit by a car. Because it will probably happen exactly as they said. Getting hit by a car. Playing in traffic and getting hit by a car. Why? Because that's what you said. So you made it happen. You made it come to fruition. So as witches, we know we have to watch our words. We know this. But these last days of November, for many witches, not all witches, let me just say that. Why? Because not every witch wants to do real world action. And quite frankly, they are not witches, because if your spells don't work, you are not a witch. So moving on from that, many of you witches will never have to light a candle or even work with crystals or essential oils or herbs, but particularly candles, because witches tend to use a lot of candles in witchcraft. But these last days of November will be the last time you use a candle when it comes to manifesting what you want. You may use candles, like I said a couple of moments ago, to put on your altar or to honor a god, a goddess, or an ancestor, or a spirit animal, or familiar. But it won't be a candle that you use for witchcraft, because you have finally done real world action. And that's something to celebrate. I'm not trying to be funny, but that's something for you witches who celebrate Thanksgiving. That's something to be thankful for. That finally, for some of you witches who have done the same spell for months or years, that this last few days of November will be the last time you light a candle for that spell you have been, sown for, that you have been wanting to manifest. And your chosen god or goddess will add his or her strength to your efforts. Absolutely. These last few days of November will be the last time you light a candle, because you have finally done real world action. You have finally listened to your intuition. You have finally said to yourself what I always say, and that is, nothing changes if nothing changes. You have finally said, I want something different. I have to want something different. I'm hungry for something different. And you will get something different. These last few days of November, if this live broadcast or the replay has reached your explore page will be the last time that you light a candle for that spell, ritual, hex, or curse, because you have done real world action. You have actually made an effort. Finally, you have finally changed something, because like we all know, as witches, nothing changes if nothing changes. So I had to come on here. Hecate directed me to come on here and speak this truth, because it's happening now as I am live streaming. And it will continue to be the life for witches as November comes to a close. And if you are a witch that does celebrate Thanksgiving, this is something to be thankful for. It won't happen for all witches, but the witches it's meant to happen to, it will totally, completely blow your mind. In these last days of November, for some of you witches, this will be the last time you light a candle for a spell, ritual, hex, or curse. Why? Because you have done real world action, and Hecate has added her strength to your efforts to see that spell work manifest as you intended. So thank you, witches, for jumping on this live broadcast. Like I mentioned a couple of moments ago, I will upload this on my other social media platforms and also leave this up for the replay if you came on late. So thank you for your time, and I now release you into the rest of your evening. Bye, everyone.